pre-taped SmackDown, so spoilers abroad for the weeks ahead, obviously with certain title changes. But for now, we're just going to talk about what's been recorded, personally, because I don't like spoiling stuff for people who haven't watched any of the actual product yet. I don't think it's real fun. Reminds me of like when people in manga spoil a lot of stuff without 90% of the community reading it. But in general, the SmackDown we got was kind of a filler SmackDown, not a bad one. I think we got a lot of stuff kind of moving forward in terms of a lot of the feuds. We kind of started off with Damian Priest coming out for a huge promo, a huge reception from the crowd after last week's Mixed Mag tag match with him, Rhea versus Zelina Vega and Aleister Black. Obviously, he looks to move forward and past kind of the whole thing after getting a very dominant win with Rhea last week. Fortunately, obviously, we have Zelina kind of come out, cut a promo on Damian that I thought was really, really solid. Zelina is really good on the mic, and I think the perfect mouthpiece for Aleister Black to kind of run around and torment all the various faces on the roster. So we kind of have them essentially in a backstage segment have a brawl where Aleister kind of takes Damian Priest with a table spot and then eventually in the back with a black mass. So obviously their feud is still going on, which I think is pretty cool. Gives something for them both to do, and I really just enjoy Zelina and Aleister Black's kind of new thing they have going on right now, and I kind of hope that we get more wrinkles in that moving forward. So cool thing to kind of start off SmackDown with. After that, we kind of had a tread of the tag team division. We had the Kabuki Warriors kind of face off against Lash Legend and Nia Jax in a really, really good match that kind of showed the dominance of both Nia Jax and Lash Legend. Both of them on the mic are money. Lash is immediately a star. In both the backstage segments we've seen the last couple of weeks, they've both been extremely funny, great timing, and Lash is just someone who seems to have that confidence already without even being on the main roster for all that long. So it was not a surprise when after the heels of last week, her dominating Alexa, both Nia Jax and her take out the Kabuki Warriors for a number one title contention. I would kind of love this story of the Kabuki Warriors desperately trying to fight, I guess, the brutal strength of both these people. I think the match kind of showed that excellently, and I think the division kind of pining after these two huge monsters is like, I think, a really fun thing. You can kind of have them being at the top of the tower, dominating everybody in their wake, and you have these really strong teams they can have really fun matches with in Rio and Charlotte and Alexa, as well as the Kabuki Warriors. So really fun match. Looking forward to see what Lash and Nia do moving forward if they win those titles off the Kabuki Warriors at some point, maybe at the Royal Rumble or at whatever next stop is going to be for those tag titles. So really good on there as well. It seemed that, with a lot of the complaints people have had about the tag division in the past, having these multiple teams kind of bolster up the whole division to make the titles feel coveted is really, really dope. So essentially moving on from that, we had a kind of in the US title vortex instead of a open challenge this week with Ilya. Mello and Ilya got to face off against DIY in what was another awesome tag team match. I mean, all four of these men are extremely great wrestlers. DIY is some of the best tag team wrestlers on the planet, and Ilya and Mello are great, young, super athletic, and really fun workers. So the whole thing was fun, kind of furthering the whole kind of shebang with DIY and Ilya and Mello for that US title. And it seems like next week Mello and Ilya will be fighting for the US title, which we kind of know the results of, but I'm gonna let a man dream and talk about it kind of into next week as if it was happening in real time. Just let us keep kayfabe. The U.S. title scene has probably been the best thing they've had on SmackDown in terms of its consistency and it's delivering matches and elevating the mid cards, in the storylines that they want to push forward. So completely fun. Always looking forward to see what Ilya and the U.S. title kind of does every week, and this was no exception. Great tag match forwarding the rivalry and camaraderie of Mello and Ilya, and furthering the despicableness of DIY and what they'll do to try to get a title and get their hands on this US title. I think what they've done kind of with Julia and the whole kind of women's US title, unfortunately, has been extremely lacking. While Chelsea Green is someone who's obviously entertaining and that people love, she's not someone that people are sticking around to watch her matches. They really enjoy her segments, right? And when she's doing speaking points. And I think as a champion, unless like we're getting that prominence every week, and pageantry every week, there really is no point to having the title on her. I think this whole direction of Julia being kind of like more badass and just taking out people instead of just kind of, hiding behind the heel manager, I think is a lot better, for her character and what she is as a wrestler. So I do think that, in her dominating Alba Fire tonight, it's a good step forward. Unfortunately, right now, the crowd does not care. There's really no reason for them to care, you know what I mean, in my opinion. So hopefully we can kind of get that ball rolling further and further so that more people are interested in this like heel dynamic. To move on from that, I think the promo of the night we kind of had was with Cody Rhodes and Nick Aldis, kind of following the home invasion Jerry Springer style kind of event that happened that resulted in Cody kind of invading Drew's home after Drew invited Nick Aldis over for essentially a deal signing to negotiate a WWE championship match with Cody. Cody then kind of takes the bait from Drew, and it is now here on Drew's turf. They're taking each other out. Cops come by on SmackDown now, essentially with that footage revealed. Aldis essentially brings Cody to the ring to reprimand him for his actions, what he's done. In that, Cody kind of goes a little bit Homelander here and kind of stakes his claim and his position on the board. Like, no one can really tell Cody what to do. He is the champ. Nick Aldis kind of works for him, and Cody works for the people. Right, it was an extremely powerful promo that kind of reinstated Cody as a QB1, similar to kind of the Roman Reigns "My Camera, My Ring" promo. It's a promo kind of establishing dominance, and I think Cody's kind of needed that for a long time, as he, famously in his first title reign did lose his title to the lack of ruthlessness and lack of mercy that he now kind of has in this second title reign after killing Kevin Owens practically, after everything that's happened with Drew, after trying to kill John Cena to get his title back. He is done kind of playing that nice guy, and even down to Nick Aldis, who was always a fair and stern general manager, you were getting the ire of Cody, because no matter what, even in those actions, Cody is your top guy, and Drew is essentially acting and throwing fits, and Cody is essentially tired of it. I think it was a really cool segment in general. Probably one of the first few times in this feud it's felt fresh, because it's been kind of retreading a lot of the same steps. Drew kind of being a no-show and Cody kind of being annoyed at that half-assery. But I do hope that there is some sort of poignant climax to this whole thing, instead of just another feud that Cody moves on from and Drew's just scorned. So hopefully, there's something that comes up of this, and maybe it's a Drew title reign, maybe it's some sort of turn from either side or something. I would hope there's something interesting moving forward, because simply Drew and Cody feuding continuously is kind of wearing on itself, and I think even the segment here is grasping at straws for the reason that these two specifically want to fight each other, and it's more just escalating events for the sake of it, since the feud is moving forward. Cody had an electric promo there that kind of reinstated and reinforced why he is QB1 and why he's the top guy, so super good stuff there. And then our main event, which I thought was pretty fun, but unfortunately had no real finish, was the Wyatt 6 versus the MFTs for the tag titles. It's awesome that we're getting the tag titles main eventing the show, as recently, they've been kind of slacked on, and I think now with the last couple of weeks and with the MFTs and the Wyatts kind of feuding for these belts, there's a lot more of a value placed on them. Crowd was super hot for this. Really fun match too, a lot of great drama, a lot of great tag team wrestling on this SmackDown tonight, and very brisk SmackDown, like an hour and 10 minutes or something like that, very filler, but completely fine, and a lot better than a lot of these terrible SmackDowns we've got kind of in the past where almost nothing was happening. So a lot of just forwarding feud, and in this one, regardless of the non-finish, we still are going to carry forward the MFTs and the Wyatt 6 as their finish is clearly unfinished. I think it would be the perfect time to just kind of introduce like trio belts or 6-man belts, but we'll see if they ever wanted to do that. I felt like when especially when the New Day was really running it in their heyday with their long title reign, I felt like a 3 belt or a 6-man belt would have been really fun or ideal for them to introduce. So maybe with the MFTs and the Wyatts, we can get something similar to that. It was a super fun match though, regardless. Maybe they're saving, an actual result or big match, War Games type match for a PLE, which I think would be a lot more deserving, since the Wyatt Six has always had great crowd reactions and kind of deserves that. And Solo and his MFTs, like Solo has been putting in work consistently, being extremely funny in every situation they give him, and extremely charismatic and enjoyable to watch. In general, SmackDown was super dope, super kind of quick kind of SmackDown this week. I think since they're doing the tapings, we have a lot of spoilers kind of talking about, a possible new champion next week. So we'll get into all of that once it does film and air. In general, really good SmackDown this week. I do hope that in the build for the Rumble, we get more stuff kind of talking about the Rumble and people's hype towards it. We haven't really gotten any of that yet, but I think kind of once we get into January, we'll start hearing more people talking about the Rumble, and we'll see that race to winning the Royal Rumble soon as well. So that should kind of kick things up and make things more interesting too moving forward. So let me know what you guys kind of thought about SmackDown, and if it was a decent show or not. I thought it was a pretty good, like a B show, not as bad as it's been on certain weeks, you know what I mean? So, I'm glad that feuds are being furthered, we're pushing new people, and that both the tag divisions are getting boistered, and the mid-card division for both U.S. titles too. So, really good SmackDown, and I'll see you guys on Monday.